So, we all know how Atlas was on a generational run last year, releasing banger after banger after banger. But did you know that long ago, well, actually, only 3 years ago, but still, in 2022, they released a game so bad that some people deemed it to be one of the worst JRPGs of 2022. That game is none other than Soul Hackers 2. Now, a lot of you probably don't know about this game, but if you do, you would know how lifeless it is, which is ironic considering that the title literally has soul in it. Now, I actually have played this game before when it came out, and I didn't really think much of it at the time, but after 3 years of it collecting dust, it's time to revisit a nightmare. But before we do that, this game definitely needs an introduction because I know you all have not played this game. Soul Hackers 2 is an okay game. If you probably could have guessed, this game is a sequel to a game we're not talking about today. There have been videos talking about how it fails as a sequel, but I actually haven't played it yet, so we're just gonna talk about Soul Hackers 2 as a standalone game instead. I don't know if you guys also noticed, but this game is also a Shin Megami Tensei game, but I don't know why they decided to remove that part. Maybe they were ashamed of who they were. I don't know. Enough of that though, because we have Slop to return to. Now, as you heard, I did say this game was okay and not bad. In no way does that mean I'm saying it's good. It's still far from it, but when I'm desperate for a game, I would play it again. People have harped about this game being pretty bad, and that's a fair thing to say. I was pretty much thinking the same thing in the first few hours of the game. Like, the budget for this game is not there. Now, it isn't all darkness, as there are things I like about this game, such as some of the gameplay mechanics. I think it does something we don't see a lot in Atlas games, and yes, that is very much a double-edged sword, but we'll expand on this in the gameplay segment. I also like the characters a lot more in this game than I did in the original SMT5 game. The writing for these characters might not be like Catherine level good, but they're at least leagues better than these clowns. And while we're here, let's just expand on these characters. Ringo is a character that I really like as a protagonist. She's sarcastic, pretty chill, and a robot. She's meant to protect the world from ending, but seems to really not care for some reason. Like, I've seen her have more emotions for pizza than her actual mission. Another thing to add is that she's actually voiced, and not in the 1 or 2 lines here and there. No, I'm talking actual dialogue was voiced and used in this game. Who would have thought Soul Hackers 2 did it before Metaphor? It was a bit weird hearing this for the first time, but I gotta say, it's definitely better than having a silent protagonist. If Ringo was sarcastic, chill, and a child in a robot's body, Big is the exact opposite, being parental and responsible while having actual interest in saving humanity. She doesn't have much involvement in the first half of the story besides being an owl, so I didn't really care for her much, but she did give us pizza though, so easily best character. Arrow is someone who, I swear, is the developer's favorite character because, my god, the amount of importance this character is shoved in our face is enough to feed a family of 12. Normally, this wouldn't be an issue, but it's only an issue because this game just casually sidelines the other main characters for him. But besides that, he is an emo kid with low self-esteem. I wish I was making that up, but that is literally all the characterization he gets for most of the game. If Arrow was a shy emo guy, Milady is a cranky emo girl. I'm not lying when I say, if you ask me to name 5 things I like about her, I would not know what to say. Well, maybe just one thing.
She's hot.
The class clown. No, that's literally all he is in the story. Saizo is a weird character because he doesn't really have much to do with the plot besides be there. I mean, there is a part where the game focuses on him for like 5 minutes, but then ultimately sidelines this guy. I don't want to say he's a deep character, but rather a guy that's pretty cliche in a way. There are other characters that are in this game, but they aren't the main characters, so they're not important. So let's move on to what I consider the biggest sin this game can offer, the gameplay. So, to start off this segment, I'm going to talk about things I like about this game. If Persona gave us the all-out attack feature, and SMT gave us the press turn feature, Soul Hackers 2 gave us the Sabbath feature. It's basically a nuke button that deals damage to an enemy after everyone in your party attacks. It's only activated after you've hit an enemy's weakness, and the damage it deals increases based on the amount of times you've hit an enemy's weakness. Keep in mind, this only works for weaknesses, so if I crit an enemy, it won't work, which is stupid, but whatever. And And with that, we have reached the end of things I like about the gameplay features of this game. It is now time to bitch about things I don't like. So, if you were one of the few people that played this game on release, you would remember the fact that this game had no sprint feature. I know that doesn't sound like a big deal, but when you take into consideration that the world is going to end, why is it that our protagonist wants to take a fucking walk through the dungeons? Like, we really are saving our energy for Soul Hackers 3. Thankfully, this was fixed in a later patch, but how the fuck did it get past everyone in the boardroom that there was no need for a sprint feature, especially when multiple games coming out before you had the ability to sprint or walk more than 1 mile per hour? Another thing I don't like are the dungeons in general, because man, for a game about the soul, this game seems to lack a lot of it, especially in the dungeons. It is so empty and lifeless, and the enemies don't help it either when they are actually the easiest things I have ever fought. Even the bosses of the game don't make me start sweating. It is literally too easy. Now that might make you think that dungeon crawling is a piece of cake, but no, because of one teeny tiny problem: mana. The amount of times I've run out of mana, had to leave a dungeon, rest, and go back to the dungeon was insane. Alright, I think you get the gist of it. This game looks very unappealing, but hey, that's only the side dishes, because the story actually has some upsides, and I'm saying some because it's still a shit show. So before I start explaining the story to you people for the first time, because I know most of you have not played this game, I feel like a few things need to be said. You know how I didn't go into great detail about some of the characters? Well, that's actually because the game didn't tell us. Well, that's actually not true. They do tell you it in an optional dungeon. Like, I'm not joking when I say you will not know any of these characters on a deeper level unless you actually do an optional dungeon. Well, that's slightly not true, because a part of the dungeon is mandatory, and you want to know which one it is? That's right. It's Arrows, the developer's favorite character. I really don't know why they're trying to give us so much Arrow. He's not even the most likable character in this game. His backstory is literally he's a kid who grew up in an orphanage, trained to be a devil summoner. That's it. Not the guy who wants to be free from killing, but keeps getting forced into it. Not the girl who wants the world to actually end and was the previous partner to the game's antagonist. No, we gotta care about an orphan and his life. Orphan this, orphan that. Wah, wah, wah. Fuck that guy. Okay. Little rant out of the way. Let's actually talk about the plot. So, as you guys know, the world is ending, and Ringo needs to collect the 5 Infinity Stones, because when you collect them... Wait, what? Sorry, I mean the 5 Covenants, because when you collect them all, you get to make a magical wish that in the process wipes out the whole Earth to fulfill this wish. Basically, every SMT plot, but with a different gimmick. However, the bad guy of this game, Iron Mask, already has 3, and is on the way to collect the rest, but before we can stop him, we need to collect the Goon Squad. I mean, there is an in-game reason for it, but like, it really doesn't matter. We only get them to fill our party member count. I'm not gonna explain this in detail, but the game likes to give reasons to meet someone, and like 90% of the time, they're useless. Like in one instance, the game was like, we need to meet a very powerful man from a very powerful family, and then we actually do go see them, and they're just a guy in a circus. Anyway, when we do go meet the Goon Squad, they're all dead. Luckily, Ringo just casually uses her god powers to revive them all. This is gonna be important for later, so keep that in the back of your mind. So, after the Goon Squad assembles, we can finally progress through the story and go into our first real dungeon, a subway station. And after fighting a couple bosses and witnessing a breakup, we finally reach the end of the dungeon, where we find a room filled with pictures of Arrow. We also find a book filled with words we're not smart enough to understand, but we bring it to a man who looks very similar to a guy we know, and I'm sure isn't related to in any way. We give him the book, and he tells us where the next dungeon is going to be. We make it to the dungeon, and wait a minute, we went from a subway to go back to another subway? Okay. Anyway, we make it through this dungeon to find out Iron Mask has beaten us to the next Covenant and decided to eat its guardian so we can't revive him. So he knew about our plan and knew about our ability to revive the dead. I wonder how he knew about that. Doesn't matter, because we skedaddle the fuck out of there. Knowing that we can't beat Iron Mask because of his boyfriend, we need to find a way to take his bodyguard down, and that's when we learn from our not so suspicious friend that Iron Mask is chilling out in a building, and that his best friend is weakened on a new moon. With this information, we wait until a new moon to ambush Iron Mask, but oh wait, Iron Mask knew we were coming again. I certainly have no idea how he knew we were coming. Anyway, things look dire for us, but things end differently for us because we actually are able to kill Iron Mask's buddy. Unfortunately, Iron Mask was able to get away, but he won't make it far because it's here the dumbest things happen. So let me just explain this. Earlier, the gang found a broken phone, which is believed to be the Guardian's phone. That whole thing is stupid itself as well, but that's not what we're talking about. Anyway, this phone basically revealed that through the power of plot, he was able to create a fake covenant for himself and hide the real one in Arrow. Oh, but wait, it gets even crazier, because he also erases Arrow's memory of this, so he has no knowledge. But wait, when we saw Iron Mask's friend die, we saw that Iron Mask absorbed the covenants, so that should mean when someone with the covenant dies, you can absorb the covenant. So wouldn't Arrow not have the covenant? Alright, it doesn't matter because, as I mentioned earlier, we saw that Iron Mask absorbed 4 covenants instead of 3. Through past information, it stated that Iron Mask was already supposed to have one, but it's here we saw that he's getting 1 extra french fry. So how is it that he didn't have any covenant until now? Well, simple.
So yo. 本物の鉄仮面はもう死んでいるわ。今あの仮面をかぶっている男は偽物よ。
The Iron Mask we've been after the whole time was actually an imposter, and turns out the guy helping us the whole time was Iron Mask the whole time. I definitely did not see this coming. I had no idea the story was gonna end up like this. Anyway, we confront him peacefully by taking his life and save the day. Finally, the world is safe. Yeah, so Fig goes rogue and tries to end the world, in which we end up going in the longest dungeon yet. You know how this goes. We beat Fig, save the day, bada bing, bada boom, roll credits. This game is bad, but at best, mediocre. I know I shit on everything, but honestly, the story was probably the better part of this game. Unfortunately, it's held on by everything else going on in this game, including the first half of this story. I'm not joking, the only reason this video took forever to come out was on 3 separate occasions I would come home and try to play this game, only to pass out from how boring it is. I really don't know how it got past so many people to release it in that state. It's very repetitive with its dungeon crawling and has a very uninteresting beginning, but the second half of this game was a lot more fun and clearly had a lot more care to it. The gameplay was also really annoying to play with. The combat was honestly annoying as well because of MP cost and having very little rewards for completing fights, unless it's a boss fight. Anyway, plugging this one into the tier list, if this game didn't get any quality of life updates, it would have been a meh tier, but it just bumps up into the okay tier. Though, I will not be touching this game for a while. Well, that's my thoughts on this game. Certainly a game. I honestly need a good game to play, which is why I'm going to make the next video I cover a game I have talked about previously on this channel, but we're going to talk about the remake of this time. So yeah, look forward to that. If you did like this video today, why not like and subscribe to catch more slop like this, and if you'd like to share your feelings on this game, feel free to comment down below. That's all from me today, and I'll see you next time. Peace.